Roll out the red carpet, or the blue carpet, or the gold carpet. It's Goku versus Frieza on this fashion-forward episode of Dragon Ball Dissection. The final 4 episodes of the Resurrection F arc focus on the fight with Frieza himself. This is it, the final confrontation. All the other villains are gone. Togama has killed Shisami, Vegeta has killed Ginyu, Frieza has killed his forces, not in the cool, polite way from the movie, but just as an incidental area of effect attack when he powers up. Well, Togama is probably still alive as a frog, and in another 20 years we'll get a movie where he shows up again for no reason. And Sorbet is still very much alive. Well, I'm sure he's not going to do anything important. This is the Goku vs. Frieza rematch, a fight so monumental that the characters barely seem to care. It is kind of wild when you think about it. The most pivotal moment in the original fight between these two is when Frieza seriously wounds Piccolo, kills Kuririn, and threatens to do the same to Gohan. That's the moment that breaks Goku, that sends him over the edge and changes the entire trajectory of the fight. Goku enters this fight seeing that Frieza has killed Piccolo. During these opening salvos, Frieza deliberately targets Goku's friends to distract Goku, and, I don't want to say Goku doesn't care, but if I were to chart Goku's anger on a graph, it would read as X approaching 0. Sure, there is a moment where Goku flashes back to Piccolo and tells Frieza that, while he's having fun, he's also furious. I definitely appreciate Goku acknowledging that rage, but that aside, he seems pretty blasé about the whole thing. It reads like a tournament match. They're feeling each other out. Goku is clearly excited to test Frieza's power. They come across more like friendly rivals than bitter enemies. And to be clear, there is a degree of charm to that. I particularly like the moment when Goku closes his eyes to power up into his new form. Frieza intends to take advantage of that and aims a finger blast at Goku. Without opening his eyes, Goku just smiles and says, I wouldn't recommend that. It's cool, it's funny, it just feels out of step. I guess that's the problem with adding pointless character deaths and threats to characters' lives that don't exist in the original story, an original story that feels largely stakesless. And of course, that feeling is not helped by the arrival of Beerus and Whis, who stand around and eat parfait while this is going on. Frieza notices them and panics because, of course, Frieza recognizes them. Beerus asked Frieza to blow up the Saiyans after all. While the gods vow to stay neutral in this duel, I find it hard to believe that any character or viewer could possibly take that seriously. In the same scene where Beerus makes that proclamation, he is also sure to tell Blooma that as long as she feeds him, he'll keep her safe. Upon hearing that, everyone there sidles over as close to Beerus and Whis as they can get. Even before you know how this is going to end, these two are a tension-draining get-out-of-jail-free card. And even if the two ultimately don't do anything, which they do, they're still there, chummily eating snacks with members of one side of the conflict. That's not neutral. It'd be like getting into a fight as a kid, and your opponent's big brother is just standing there watching you the whole time. Simply the presence is intimidating. Then there are moments I feel this fight is trolling me. Vegeta gets in the way of the fight because Goku isn't taking it seriously, but all the characters read it as if Vegeta is betraying Goku and siding with Frieza. And everyone on the sidelines debates this going, "What? Vegeta would never do that. He wouldn't go that far." Come on. Frankly, we're still at the point where him not betraying you would be the more surprising outcome. Look, I don't have it out for Vegeta. It's not my intention to keep hammering in what a frequent traitor he is. But what am I supposed to do when the franchise makes sure I can never forget? Oh, but better than that is the moment where Goku complains that Frieza keeps doing the same thing over and over again. Really? You're having the lead character say this in a story that's redrawing a story from a movie that exists only to play on nostalgic fan service? Come on! Have at least a little self-awareness. Granted, recognizing something this blatant would require hanging a lampshade the size of Wyoming. That's not to say there aren't elements of this I find entertaining or enjoyable. Like, this is a small thing, right? But do you notice I use as my background for this arc an image of the gloomy sky featured in this fight? If you remember my review of the Resurrection F film, I made no secret that the fighting in it bored the heck out of me. But if there's anything I enjoy, it's the sky. Once Goku and Frieza get serious, it looks like a storm rolls in. The landscape is covered in gray clouds. And it's such a small thing, but as I've said a lot over the years, Toriyama's Dragon Ball especially isn't that wild with fighting environments. When I think of Resurrection F, I think of its stormy sky. It really pops for me, and I'm glad the Dragon Ball Super version retains it. I also find the Blooma and Jaco comedic cutaways to be refreshing. They're very reminiscent of Blooma and Oolong spectating the tournaments of old. It never crosses the line into the discomfort I feel watching Pan bully Giru in Dragon Ball GT. I certainly think that Blooma is a bit of a bully here. I don't think Jaco necessarily deserves all he gets or the expectations that Blooma places on him, especially given that he came to Earth to warn them. But Jaco is an egotistical blowhard and he's not entirely helpless, so it also feels satisfying to see him knock down a few pegs. It's certainly understandable why Blooma would destroy Jaco's camera after Jaco blandly asserts that the pictures would cause the Galactic Patrol to classify Earth as a danger and destroy it. And it's cute when the characters realize the obvious and point out that Jaco actually looks quite a bit like Frieza. I don't know if I'd put this enthusiastically into my likes column, but especially for the sake of comparison, it's nice that the Dragon Ball Super anime continues to build to the next story arc, assuring the audience that brand new stories are just around the bend. By this point, the manga would be pretty deep into that story. Like earlier in the arc, this attempt is more explicit, less veiled than the manga's attempts at setup. Beerus and Whis actually bump into Champa and Vados on their way to Earth. We can clearly see they are counterparts to each other. After Beerus and Whis leave, Champa and Vados tell each other they currently have 5 of them, out of 7. I still prefer the manga's introduction to these concepts, but it's nice to see this version's spin on it. Anyway, Goku and Frieza fight for a while, not much happens, then they decide to get serious and transform into their new forms. Okay, here we are. All the pieces are in place, I've put this off long enough, it's time for the 2013 to 2015 Dragon Ball Fashion Extravaganza! I worry I've built this up to such a degree that there is no possible way I can meet the expectations. Frankly, there are so many characters among these multiple time shifts that I obviously can't talk about everybody, but let me dip my toe in the water by introducing a few minor looks. Gyumao wins the award for Most Clashing Style. He has developed quite a bit over the years, from classic warrior to ox-themed grandpa. He has mostly stuck to the latter look over the years, but now he graduates to motorcycle gang bear daddy? He has swapped out the button-downs for a tank top and spiked cuffs, but then throws a tie on top just to show that he's not completely informal. I'm glad to see he hasn't let old age stop him from exploring new interests, and I appreciate the bold choices. Still though, I find the horned giant salaryman aesthetic far more humorous in its juxtaposition. This ends up looking like we stumbled into Gyumao on laundry day. Goten and Trunks win the award for Continuity Diversity, taking full advantage of the shift between mediums to try out new looks. In the Battle of Gods movie, Trunks decides to revel in the little boyness of Oshkosh Bagosh overalls. Goten follows suit in, well, a little baby boy suit, with a bow tie. Wait, how old are they supposed to be again? Well, I'm not here to shame. I've been known to don an overall or two myself. Live your truth. But when they get do-overs in the television version, they decide to live that cruise life and rock in Hawaiian shirts. I prefer it. Much better color contrast, and the sunglasses and water gun accessories make them even cooler. Both figuratively and literally. Now let's really get to it. Blooma wins the award for Most Anticipated Makeover. Her Battle of Gods look is great. I should know because I already talked about it when I covered the Boo arc. That is, it's the same look from the Boo arc. Sleeveless dress with scarf. She just swapped color palettes. Resurrection F serves as the refresh she needs. She parts her hair back in a more modern style, but the outfit is fairly basic, just jeans and a white t-shirt. But she makes it look good. It's a flattering scoop neck that I happen to think very much disproves the disparaging remarks some random answer man is going to make about her boobs in the next arc. I'm not a huge fan of cowboy boots, but they add just a little bit of zest to a fairly basic outfit. But it's pairing the white top with a red scarf that creates a color contrast that really pops. Kuririn and Yamcha tie for most nostalgic hair. Yes, we know that by the end of classic Dragon Ball, Yamcha has regrown his long hair. However, it's slicked back in quite a departure from any of his other long styles. Outside of that, he has been known for shorter hair for quite a long stretch by this point in the timeline. None of that stops Revival-era Dragon Ball from giving Yamcha a classic hairstyle that just screams, "I'm lying dead in a crater somewhere." But as someone who's always been a fan of that look for him, I struggle to complain. For the 21st century, though, Yamcha has discarded his Western yellow suit for a Chinese hanzhuang. It looks good on him, which makes sense given it also looks good on his Dr. Slump progenitor, Tsukutsun. Kuririn initially tries to refresh his look with a new hairstyle, far cleaner and more angular than his lion-esque Buu arc mane. I think it's quite sporty. Like Yamcha, Kuririn goes for a traditional Chinese look. His full-length Changshen is very spiffy, smartly emblazoned with the Kame kanji on the opposite side to his garment's closure. However, for Kuririn, most nostalgic hair means most nostalgic lack of hair, as 2 years later we see him return to his earliest Kame school look, both in shaved head and outfit. Yeah, he's not even wearing the undershirt or boots anymore, he's just full-on classic. Gohan wins my coveted Most Improved Nerd Award. Gohan is a fashion disaster in Battle of Gods. He features all of my least favorite adult Gohan elements. Severe, slicked back hair, closed-drawn Kaioshin eye disease, uncomfortable looking fit. It's like, what if ugly GT suit, but in a vest? I don't even like the color of his stupid glasses. Just looking at him makes me angry. He looks like a waiter at a restaurant I'd never want to go to. At least in the movie, he briefly dresses up as the Great Saiyaman. Resurrection F resurrects my respect for him. Yeah, seriously. Look, I know everybody makes fun of the green tracksuit. I'm not going to say it's my favorite outfit in the world, but at least it looks like he can move in it. At least he looks comfortable, and his hair looks relaxed, and his eyes look happy, except maybe there. His glasses are a bland black, but black goes with everything. And there are more great Saiyaman antics in the TV version. What's not to like? Even his work fits look more comfy. It's not the best adult Gohan will ever look, but it's the best he's looked so far. Videl wins my Cutiest Patootiest award. Videl looks amazing in Dragon Ball Super. The flip-up hairdo with the headband is my favorite Videl hairstyle, aside from her original pigtails. Heck, I might like this better. It has bangs. Everything's better with bangs. Something I wish someone had told her GT design. Her Battle of Gods sleeveless red dress is amazing. The devil print is a bit on the nose, but the big belt worn on the hips, the tights, the white boots are all perfect. Very retro 60s. And I love her everyday wear striped sweater dress over a button-down paired with leggings. I'd want to be Videl's friend just so she could become my personal stylist. Ooh, there's another tie. Jocko and Frieza both win Best Use of Full or Partial Nudity. Enough said. Frieza is actually a 2-time winner tonight, as he also takes home my Most Forgettable Transformation Award. Golden Frieza. What can I even say about you? Not much. I appreciate Toriyama's relative restraint in keeping Frieza simple and not reverting back to his spikier and more complicated earlier designs. However, pairing the actual simplicity of Final Form Frieza with a gaudy color palette just ends up looking gaudy rather than simple. Gold is so passé. It also doesn't add anything to the story or anything interesting to Frieza. It does provide a nice lesson though. Not all that glitters is gold, and this is certainly more of a gilded Frieza. And especially if you contrast it thematically to the original Super Saiyan, maybe that's the point. Finally though, it's the main event. We're talking about Goku and Vegeta, recipients of the Most Exciting but Ultimately Disappointing Makeovers Award. See, for Battle of Gods, Goku and Vegeta largely stay the same. In fact, Vegeta stays exactly the same. In fact, he actually regresses away from his Buu arc look all the way back to his Cell arc look. Goku updates a little bit. If you remember, Goku's look from the Cell arc and beyond is demarcated by 2 changes. He drops all kanji patches, and his belt no longer features ends. The neck also gradually opens up. Battle of Gods takes the latter-day Dragon Ball style and adds kanji back to it, the Go kanji that Goku wears briefly in the Frieza arc. It is technically a new look, but it's really just combining two old looks. I have always found it interesting though. We barely see Goku in the Go kanji in classic Dragon Ball. Most of the time he's wearing it, he's in a medical machine. Then when he starts fighting, he immediately discards the outer shirt. But because of its prominence in Dragon Ball Super, I feel I now see it on merchandise more than any other. I like that the kanji gets more exposure, but these are still pretty disappointing. To me, Vegeta in Cell Arc armor encapsulates Dragon Ball Super better than any other image. It doesn't want to go forward, it wants to be what you remember. That's why, given that Resurrection F is a veritable smorgasbord of reheated leftovers, I was absolutely shocked that it gave Goku and Vegeta brand new outfits. And I love them. Vegeta comes out of this looking extremely refreshed. Sure, he's still donning the same general armor aesthetic he's almost always had, but I like this new take on it. First, I'm a fan of the bodysuit. I think putting Vegeta in gray really sets this apart from other designs. Vegeta's bodysuits have always looked like he might as well be wearing body paint instead of clothes. I like that there is actual visible texture now. There are flaps and closures. The front closure reminds me of my favorite Starfleet uniform. Coupled with the color, it comes across like combat fatigues, which fits the character pretty well. Sadly, in the manga, it's rendered in the same black as usual, which usually flattens out the details. I'm not as big a fan of the cut. The division of the top and the bottoms is full of weird angles. I don't know why Vegeta needs a faux butt window. And then there are divisions on the legs that make it look like he's wearing invisible bicycle shorts. The execution is not perfect, but the concept is still solid. The armor gets quite a massive redesign too. Hey, I'm glad to see that Toriyama has moved away from the severe angles he became obsessed with in the 90s. This armor features a nice mix of sharper and rounder lines. My favorite element is how the chest tapers down to the stomach, rather than featuring the dividing piping of previous armors. Just like the second set of Frieza arc armor, I feel the shoulders need some more line work. They look empty like this, but while Vegeta's earliest armors are still my favorites, this new interpretation is striking. Goku's new dogi looks so much airier than his classic look. Adult Goku has almost always been characterized by his multiple shirt layers. This new look eschews the undershirt for a simple fold-over gi top that extends past his belt so it's obvious he's wearing a shirt and pants. That has sometimes changed over the years. His belt has all the dangly things I'd ever need, and it's positioned off-center, which I find a nice touch. I'd say this design helps bridge the gap to the dogis he wears at the end of Dragon Ball and in Dragon Ball GT. He has new, lighter-colored boots that appear to feature Velcro straps, which is good because I don't know if Dragon Ball Super's Goku is intelligent enough to tie his shoelaces. It's also nice to see Toriyama move away from the extremely pointy-toed boots that just got pointier and pointier as his art style got pointier and pointier. I hope Goku's toes are more comfortable now. No notes. This has become one of my favorite Goku outfits. As long as we're talking about Goku, let's talk about transformations. After all, we've included hair in the fashion extravaganza, and transformations are just hairdos that are marketed to boys. And action figures are just dolls that are rebranded so your father won't call you a slur and kick you out of the house for playing with them. Now, I love Super Saiyan God as a concept. It's probably the most excited I've been about a Dragon Ball transformation since the original Super Saiyan. Or at least Super Saiyan 4. It's visually distinct, I love that Goku looks gentler, I love the pinkish red hair, and it excels narratively too. It's a form that could only exist because of Goku's journey. He brought together and reformed enough Saiyans to make the ritual possible. He created family. That's awesome. That's special. That's meaningful. And that's why I hate this new transformation, a form that asks the important question, what if we took Super Saiyan God and stripped everything interesting out of it so that it was nothing more than a palette swap? It's a form that is both redundantly simple and yet so needlessly complicated that it has to be described as a Saiyan who is a Super Saiyan with the power of Super Saiyan God. And did we really need another new transformation already? We only saw the last one for a few minutes. And I remember the argument going around that technically it had been 2 years. Original Dragon Ball sometimes added transformations more frequently than that. That's not the same thing. Even if you don't factor in the fatigue of diminishing returns, you're talking about a time when Dragon Ball put out new content every week. Resurrection F, the movie, is the very next thing after Battle of Gods. If you were really being fair, you would compare the TV versions. Super Saiyan God first appears in Episode 9 from September 6th, 2015. A Saiyan who is a Super Saiyan with the power of Super Saiyan God first appears in Episode 24 from December 20th of the same year. That's only 15 episodes apart, less than 4 months. There's no reason Goku couldn't have introduced Frieza to Super Saiyan God. Frieza even expresses confused curiosity over Super Saiyan God, which is weird given that Dragon Ball Minus establishes Frieza kills the Saiyans specifically because of Super Saiyan God. But given that that was a stupid decision, I'm glad they've chosen to ignore it. Also, I thought he killed the Saiyans because Beerus told him to. But I guess we need to sell more toys, including a new Vegeta, so who cares if it's essentially the same thing as Super Saiyan God, only less interesting? Let's just make it. And this, of all things, becomes the default transformation for Dragon Ball Super, which just makes me even angrier. But now that I've gotten all that out of my system, I can say that it's a very nice shade of blue. And I mean that. It is. I like how, in the transformation, a bunch of glowing blue globules shatter away from Goku to reveal the new form. And if I can mention one factor that would justify it replacing Super Saiyan God, it's that blue goes with orange better than pink does. In fact, I wouldn't be surprised to find out that Goku's new Dogi getting rid of the darker blue hues is to make the blue hair pop even more. It even matches his new boots. As far as the color combination goes, this is a winner. And this is a fashion extravaganza after all, so there you go. I like the look. But if I like these new looks for Goku and Vegeta, why do I call them ultimately disappointing? Well, you probably know why. Dragon Ball Super chickens out after 2 story arcs and permanently reverts the two to their Battle of Gods looks. They tease us with something special, only to throw it in the trash. And there's nothing more disappointing than that. Thank you for joining me for the 2013 to 2015 Dragon Ball Fashion Extravaganza. Those were quite a lot of fashion plates. I hope while we were indulging in the fun of the runway that we didn't miss anything important in the fight. Oh, Goku has been impaled by a ring pop. Nah, we didn't miss anything important. Sure enough, like I said last time, if there was anything that would keep me from finishing the arc this time, it would be the Fashion Extravaganza. So it has come to pass, but I hope this was worth the wait. Next time we will absolutely be finishing up the Resurrection F arc. And that's good. I'd much rather end on an even 6 than an odd 5. So join me as we wrap up this very contentious story and prepare to move on to new material. My channel needs help from the algorithm gods. Please don't forget to engage with this video. Please subscribe, tell your friends to subscribe, like the video and comment down below what your favorite outfits are. And please remember that I am a small channel. I am only able to maintain this through your help. So if you can, please join up at patreon.com/MystAirFusion for rewards, like early access to videos and an awesome Discord community that helped me learn the names of the Chinese outfits worn by Kuririn and Yamcha. But don't blame them if my pronunciations were terrible. I will see you next time.